Setting up and getting the most out of your dashboard. Now, firstly, to enter people onto the dashboard, quite simple. Put the 4-letter ID of the person in, press add user or return, and they'll add those into your list of consultants that you can review. Now, that's fine. We all know that people do that, but to people actually get rid of people when they've left, I know for a fact a couple of these have. So to get rid, just tick and delete, and then they're off your dashboard as well. So you've got that nice, consistent, clear view. Now, I'm not going to go through any more detail about what the how to set up here. It's more about what to do once you're in here as well. So first, you've got the dial view, or you can change this to a number view by clicking this down here. The number view for me is much more if you want to get into some detail, particularly around stuff like unique managers. So when the numbers are really big and you want to have a look at some of the actual detail behind it, you can click through to the numbers. But really, most of the time, looking at the dial would be the best way to really get that very quick view of who within your team may well be struggling with certain KPIs, so you can start to work with them to get through that. Now, the couple of the things that I'm going to mention within here is firstly about setup. So we know, because we look behind the scenes, that once people are set up with a certain set of KPI dials and figures, they very seldom change, which really needs to be reviewed. So start to think about with your consultants, what's the profile of KPIs that they're looking at in terms of the ones that they've got targets set for, and also the ones that they've got on their dashboards and they're showing in terms of the dials on their homepage as well. So we always see that the managers added KPIs, everyone near enough set. So is this the right kind of thing to be driving for all your consultants? Now, we appreciate for junior consultants or people just starting in the business, managers added is an absolutely legitimate thing to be pushing. But is this the right kind of profile for your more senior or experienced consultants? Start to have a look about things like candidate meetings. We had a lot of feedback from the business that candidate meetings were an absolutely integral part, particularly for the perm business, of trying to make sure that you're getting the most out of your candidates and potentially future clients as well. This is a KPI, it's been around for a while. We can see that pockets of the business have used it, but there's a lot that haven't as well. So start to think about that profile, and it changing as well is absolutely key over time. So the kind of things that we have feedback that are real integral, particularly for perm, is the manager meeting, candidate meeting, AB jobs, no CV sent, and these two here, which is jobs with multiple candidates interview. So jobs where you're really covering, you've got several people there as well, and candidates with interviewing at multiple jobs as well. So this is really around some of the work candidate things we talked about, where the candidates are not just being sent to the individual job they applied for, but making sure you get them out to different opportunities as well. So really working with your consultants and thinking about within your teams the different profiles for the people. Maybe there might be a different profile for people who are in the first 6 months through to the people who are more senior, through to your principals. Start to think about that. Also, just like the type of KPI that you have set, the numbers, we can also see that the numbers very seldom change as well. So start to think about that. And the reason the numbers are so important is this particular profile here is so difficult to analyze because the majority is red. So when the majority is red, you can't really pick out which are the real ones that you need to drill into. So starting to maybe think and flex some of those numbers a little bit more so you can get a better idea of people who are just slightly struggling to the people who are actually really, really struggling and maybe need a little bit more work as well. We do feel that, yeah, these numbers should be living, so should be moving depending on how people are doing and be constantly reviewed each month, maybe in PBRs, etc. So that you can be much more clear that when something's red, there is something serious going on, opposed to this kind of profile when it seems everything is red, or the majority of it anyway. So just to review, adding on candidates, consultants, to your dashboard, nice and easy, removing people to make sure you have that very clear view, seeing things in numbers, but also the dial view. But it's mainly about reviewing the different KPIs we have available and also the different values within those KPIs. Reviewing your consultant's jobs, absolutely mandatory and quite easy through two systems, Apollo Client and Candidate. I'm going to show you Apollo Candidate now because this is the one where you can get that very high level view of how people are doing and how they're working their jobs. So if I choose the consultant I want to analyze and look at their job page, First and foremost, there's a lot of jobs on this particular consultants page, 102. I've just ordered this here by commitment so we can see the hotter jobs at the top. So the ones with high commitment, A, B, and C at the top. Those are the ones that we really need to analyze to make sure that are being worked. So this list, very basic, gives you whether they're live, when they've been entered, the ID of the job and the job title, business manager. We've talked about commitment. Starting to have a look at that fillability is also important at this point. So even if there's high commitment, how is the fillability? There's a job here with no fillability. Does that mean it's still legitimate to be worked? This is about making sure your consultants are managing their time right, so they're working on the right kind of roles. The other kind of key metrics in this to make sure if people are working roles are, number one, the new column. Now, it's slightly misnomer. This is really your ad response column. The fact that it's called new is when you can see as a consultant the new candidates that have come into that particular job. This is where you can start to analyze whether your consultant has an issue with candidate acquisition. So clicking through to that will give you a list of all the ad response for that particular job and show you which ones are the new ones, which ones they haven't looked at recently. So as we can see in here, there's a fair number, 27 people have applied to this particular job. So starting to have a look at this, the quality of the candidates coming through will start to, with your consultant, decide whether you have an issue at all with getting the candidates for these roles. From 27 jobs, I'll go back here to the job page. So 27 ad response for this particular job here. They've also done 11 searches. Again, a very key area to make sure that the consultants are not only searching our own internal databases, but actually are they saving the search? Are they reusing that information that they put together on that first day so they can rerun, keep on looking for the kind of the really good candidates for particular jobs. So you can kick in to review those searches, but the fact that this consultant saved 11 different searches for this job, all different types of business analyst job searches, looks like they've really covered it and really tried to get into the nooks and crannies of the database. The next column is shortlist and sent. So this shows you firstly how many people are moving, or how many candidates are moving from just a search on our database or just an ad response into someone that they want to talk to in great detail. So once the candidate's been shortlisted against the job, it kind of shows that the consultant are considering for putting forward. So on this one example at the top here, that they've shortlisted 14 people, which again, it does seem that they have enough candidates for this kind of role. And then the second part of the number is whether they've sent them out as well. So starting to have a look at that ratio is quite interesting. So this job a little bit further down, 5 and 5, that shows that they've shortlisted 5 people and sent all of them out, which is obviously a great ratio. Every person that they've found interesting, they've sent out as well. Where if you have a look at some of them, there's one down here where they've shortlisted 13 people, only sent out 6. So what's the issue there? So is it that people are not interested in the role? Is it they're not kind of experienced? So starting to work out if we've really looked at all those shortlisted candidates and made a conscious decision of whether they're going to be sent or not. You can also then look at what the next stage is, obviously interviews as well. These are the interviews for each of these candidates that have been. It can also be accessed from Apollo Client, where you can get some slightly different metrics as well. Once you click through to the job, you can get a little bit more detail if need be as well. So you can actually go into there and look at the ad response, notified, shortlist, if you need to get into that little bit more details. We do have an advert status button as well, which will show you from Broadbean the adverts and the advert statuses you've got there. Here we go. So this shows the adverts, the different areas, the job boards that have been applied on, and the status of those as well. So you can see this consultant has hit a lot of good different sites for that ad response. Okay, this is the one that I've been waiting for, My Work Candidates. Once you've selected the consultant you want to go and analyse, go into their Apollo candidate. Now all perm consultants have My Work Candidates on the home page. So click through to get more detail. The very homepage view is much more for the consultants, so they can review very quickly. This is where we need to be going in to really review what they've been doing. Now, first off, we've got a pure numbers thing. So at the moment, you can see that this person has 35 altogether. So that's paced over 2 pages. So that's 35 people worked within the last 28 days. Now, there is no optimal number for this. It totally depends on your market, but starting to think about this every day will make a difference. As you as team leaders, managers or consultants, start to think about if you can get more people in here, if there's a real issue with candidate acquisition, if you can get more people in this list, as long as the standard or the quality is still high, the better. The second thing within this is the quality of it as well. So starting to review your consultants' candidates and starting to have a look at the quality. This is not only quality of what the consultants have been doing, but the quality of the candidates. So you might want to start to think about the quality of what the consultants have been doing by starting to look at this detail. So there's quite a few candidates here that firstly haven't been called recently, haven't been met recently, or have no comments as well. So have they been given the kind of ad response that you'd expect from your consultants? Also starting to do is stuff like clicking through to the individual candidates and start to look at their CVs may well be beneficial. Starting to have a look at the quality of the candidates that your consultants are working. So we can start to go through and have a look at this. You could even go down to having a look at the person's send outs, their front sheets, the way that they've been marketed to managers. So by clicking on the send out tab, you can see that you've got the content. Starting to have a look at this and looking at the content. A very short email. Is this good enough to be sending out to our customers, our clients? Start to have a look at the front sheet that was done as well. So clicking into the front sheet that was created to see if it was the kind of standard that you'd expect. Let's go back to the My Work candidates. I'll click on back to list. So we've talked about how many candidates in the list, and we've talked about the quality, not only of what the consultant is writing about them or doing, but also the quality of the candidates themselves. One of the real key things in this also is the kind of breakdown. So these three numbers here, the managers sent to A, B, and C jobs and D jobs. So starting to look at this, to think about this consultant here is really marketing out their candidates, doing a really good job. This particular one sent to 471 managers, but it looks like most of them were either from a mail shot or sent to G jobs. So this consultant was good enough to send out to a massive number of managers, but they didn't send them to one A, B, or C job. Is that because they haven't got those jobs, or is there kind of an issue there that they're not kind of hitting those good opportunities? Again, so starting to have a look at the breakdown of those numbers. There's only very, very few of these candidates being sent to actually A, B, or C jobs. There is also actually the overall number, I think, is really important. So there's some examples in here where a lot of candidates have been sent out to multiple managers in different breakdowns, whether A, B, C, or D jobs, or just general marketing. But there's some in here that have only been just sent to one. So this example here, for example, has only been sent to one person. It was just it looks like a single. So if this person was good enough to send to one manager through a single, why haven't they been sent to anyone else? Generally, our consultants do very tight technical markets. So is this because this person has specifically said that they only want to get sent to one manager, or have they just not actually worked that candidate and thought about what other opportunities there are out there? Starting to think about the management of these candidates as well is also really important. So this person here may say, because they've been sent out to a lot of people, that they're quite a hot candidate, although they haven't actually been spoken to for very recently and never been met as well. So if it is a push on your market to make sure your consultants are actually meeting your candidates, this reviewing this field here when they've been last met is also very key. So this is the My Work candidates. You can access it from your home page. So just to review where that is, it will be on everyone's home page who works per market. You can access it on here. You've got a very quick view, but to click through, you can go here. You can also access it from the Candidates tab and the My Work Candidates tab here. I'll show you where it is. I'm not showing you this for fun. This is really, I feel, one of the key areas where we can drive extra performance. We know for a fact that consultants are always looking at their jobs and always making sure that their jobs are covered, but start to flip that around and see if there's any other opportunities on these candidates as well is key. The kind of wins that we've had from this is where people have been told, actually, I've only sent this candidate out to one manager. I hadn't realised. I'd gone back in, remarketed them, and they've been placed. There's also something else from looking at this list, which is about looking at candidates that have left the market. Obviously, there's going to be candidates that we're not going to place. Trying to get to those candidates quickly post placement so you can get the lead of backfilling jobs is also very important. So really working with this list and working with your consultants is absolutely key, I feel, for helping drive that perm performance.